Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Glad thank you all for being here. I'm David Haney. I'm the Executive Director of the West Virginia Education Association. This is Bob Brown, who's with the AFT. Again, thank you all for being here to talk about this very, very important legislation and our coalition of education groups and our stance on this legislation. So we thank you for being here. We'll have a short presentation from each of the coalition members, and then we'll have a period of time for question and answers. The first person that's going to speak today is Blaine Hess with the Superintendent's Association.
Good morning. My name is Blaine Hess. I'm the Superintendent of Jackson County Schools. I'm the Vice President of the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. I'm here to make a statement on behalf of our membership, which includes county superintendents. WVSA is strongly opposed to the Omnibus Education Bill, as recently advanced by the Senate Education Committee. And while the bill provides the promised pay raise and other positive things for education, it also contains a number of measures that school administrators do not support. The speed in which the bill advanced is concerning to us and begs the question, why? Why did committee members have so little time to review the bill and consult with their constituents? Why were the members of the educational community not asked to address the bill? Why was testimony sought from out-of-state interest rather than the people of West Virginia? The measures obtained in the bill or contained in the bill should be approached on an individual basis. They should stand on their merits in separate bills, and not the take it or leave it basis as designed by the authors of the bill advanced by the House or the Senate Education Committee. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Fred Albert, President of AFT West Virginia. Thank you for being here today, and we appreciate this opportunity to speak about this omnibus bill. The Omnibus Education Bill, being fast-tracked by Senators Carmichael and Rucker, is a radical agenda that was written and is being promoted by outsiders. When this bill was being considered in the Senate Education Committee last Friday, 2 out-of-state private school profiteers spoke in favor of the bill, but no West Virginia taxpayer was allowed to speak. Many provisions contained in this bill defy logic and fly in the face of credible research. If they really are interested in improving academic achievement, then why would they consider increasing class size in elementary class schools? This defies logic. Not only do we have a teacher shortage in West Virginia, we also have a critical shortage of administrators. So guess how they propose that we deal with this crisis? They would eliminate continuing contracts for these folks. This defies logic. We don't have enough money to run our schools effectively. Every county school board in West Virginia is having budget issues because of declining student enrollment. So what do they propose? They want to give scarce public education dollars to parents who send their children to private school. This defies logic. They say this is comprehensive education reform, but they insert a paycheck protection provision. Not only does this provision make the bill unconstitutional, it is an attempt to silence employees, and it is clearly retaliation for workers standing up last year. If they really want to empower teachers, this defies logic. I could go on and on, but perhaps the most troubling thing about this bill is that we cannot find a West Virginia taxpayer who had any input in this legislation. We at AFT West Virginia, as well as my other colleagues here, offered to sit down with Senator Rucker and work through some of these proposals, but she has rejected our offer. We cannot find a West Virginia parent, a West Virginia teacher, a West Virginia service personnel, a West Virginia principal, a county school superintendent who was consulted about this bill. They even admitted in the Senate Education Committee that the West Virginia Board of Education and the West Virginia Department of Education didn't have any meaningful input. West Virginia parents and educators are the real experts and they have had no input in this radical proposal. That defies logic. Let me finish by asking a question. Where is the public outcry for charter schools? Where is the public outcry to raise class sizes? Where is the public outcry to send our tax dollars to out-of-state profiteers? There is no public outcry in West Virginia for those so-called reforms, and that is why this whole bill defies logic. We should let this bill finish its course where it started, somewhere outside the state of West Virginia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Mickey Blackwell, and I'm the Executive Director of the West Virginia Elementary and Middle School Principals Association. I would like to thank everybody for coming here today, and you can see by the folks that we have here, not only behind me, but the folks in our audience, that this is a very important issue that we all want to discuss and that we all want to be able to work with our legislatures on. As you can see, we are all here today. Where were we when this bill was being constructed? We weren't being consulted, we weren't being called, we weren't being notified. We were only hearing things through rumors and other sources, and we were not being contacted by our legislators. We have grave concerns about the democratic process being followed here in West Virginia. Can any bill be introduced on one day, be changed 3 times, and then be passed the following day? What is democratic about that? What is American about that? And what is West Virginian about that? We are here today as a group of educators. We are not here as single groups. We are here collected together. And we are here to say we invite the Senate, the House, the Governor, and anyone else who would like to sit down and discuss this with the teachers, the bus drivers, the cooks, the assistant principals, the principals, the superintendents, to give us a call, and we would be more than happy to come and discuss this with you. As of now, that has not occurred, and we wonder why that is. We know that we have some of the best teachers, the best administrators, and the best central office folks you can find anywhere. I go across the country, I go to national conferences, and West Virginia is held in esteem. We hope that the legislature will hold us in the same esteem as the folks around this country. I want to thank everybody today. I want to thank everyone for inviting us to participate, and I know that the principals, the administrators in the state of West Virginia look forward to being able to take part in a democratic process where our input is not only welcome, but respected. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kenny DeMoss. I'm a board member of the West Virginia Association for Secondary Schools Principals. I'm also the principal of Parkersburg High School. Our organization, banded with teacher organizations, service personnel, superintendents association, and the elementary principals to support the passage of a 5% salary increase, the additional contribution to PEIA, and to allow employees to bank their sick leave days for retirement credit. We are not supporting the bill as a whole because they have tapped into things which many educators are in opposition of, such as savings accounts, open enrollment, and charter schools. Kind of treat this with common sense. I have a wife. I live in West Virginia, born and raised, and so is my spouse. If I were to make a decision in my own home without talking to her, I would be in a lot of trouble. This does not make sense. We need to use the people within our home, which is West Virginia, to make these decisions. We want to come to a consensus. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm WVEA President Dale Lee. I'm proud to join my colleagues here today to discuss the Omnibus Education Bill originated in the Senate Education Committee. I'm angry and saddened that we're here today discussing a damaging bill for public education that is being ramrodded through at a record pace without any discussion as to the impact to our students, our public schools, or the impact on our state financially. The The fact that the 144-page bill dealing with 62 different statutes can be unveiled and passed through the Committee of Origin in less than an afternoon speaks volumes. This Senate Republican leadership revenge bill is referred to as comprehensive education reform, but nothing could be farther from the truth. Simply look at the items included in the bill, and anyone with any common sense will soon realize that the items included in the bill, like increasing class size, eliminating payroll deduction for employee organizations, charter schools, education savings accounts, open enrollment, etc., are certainly not items that are known to improve public schools or student achievement. As a matter of fact, many of the items included in the bill have been attempted previously by the Senate in an effort to advance their anti-public education, anti-employee agenda of the past few years, and they failed to gain traction. There are programs and initiatives that we can all support that are proven across the country to improve student achievement. A well-rounded curriculum, class sizes that are small enough for one-on-one attention, support services such as healthcare, nutrition, and after-school programs for students who need assistance, extended day and summer programs, alternative education facilities, expanded vocational education options, additional specialists, including special education teachers, school counselors, nurses, and psychologists, and resources to help parents. But unfortunately, none of these are included in the bill. We continue to talk about the difficulty in filling vacancies in our public schools, and we talk about the challenges of recruiting and retaining people into the profession. You look at the actions of the Senate and the message being sent to our educators, and you can certainly understand why good people are leaving the profession in record numbers. It's clear that the Senate Republican leadership is playing games. Unfortunately, they're playing games with the lives of our children's future and the livelihood of our educators. The Senate leadership is using this bill as a way to exact revenge for the actions of our educators this past spring. Sadly, it appears it is more important for them to get revenge than to follow their own legislative process and to work to improve our schools. Educators, parents, and the public can see right through their childlike games and are voicing opposition. Our education system, our students, and our educators deserve far better than the actions we have seen from this Senate to date. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joe White, Executive Director of the West Virginia School Service Personnel Association. And it is a great honor I stand here today amongst these colleagues. We, as an organization, are against the Omnibus Education Reform Bill. No, it is Retaliation Bill. We're against that. Real education reform starts at home. Real education reform does not start in Alabama or New Mexico. It starts at home. I want you to look around this room. No one in this room was asked anything about where they stood or something that could help with education and education reform in the great state of West Virginia. I want you to stop just a moment and think of the countless lives that this bill, as it is going through now, will have an effect on. It will have effect on the children of the great state of West Virginia. Have they talked with the children? Have they opened it up to the boards of education? Have they opened it up to the superintendents? Have they opened it up to the principals? No. It started in a room. It started with outside West Virginia. We cannot continue to have this. Real education reform starts at home. Our home is West Virginia. I want you to stop just for a moment. I can't touch on anything that hasn't already been said with my colleagues. But I want you to pan around this room and behind me. Do you realize the historical significance that is in this room today. Every organization has band together and stood together in a coalition saying what the leadership is doing now is wrong for West Virginia. Thank you.
I'll take a few questions.
Is there anything about the bill you all like?
Yes.
5% pay raise is nice. The governor that's what the governor proposed. We would like more than that, actually. Our members voted in our legislative summit this year for more than that. But a 5% pay raise, fixing PEIA, those are the things that we think need to stand alone in this bill.
What are the chances there's going to be a teacher walkout this year, or like we saw last year?
Well, we want to make it clear that we have educators here at the Capitol every day watching the proceedings going on, and are back home watching the proceedings going on. We continue to observe and to follow the actions of this legislative process. We can't predict what's going to happen at this point. We know that we want the bill to go through the process and have the opportunity to work, but to say everything is on the table at this point.
So the possibility of a walkout
Everything's on the table.
We listen to our members, and we have members, we've been in contact with members all weekend long. My phone started receiving text at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning from members. We have members who are very unsettled about this omnibus retaliation bill, and we are listening to our members. So as Dale Lee has said, everything's a possibility. You know, it's still early on. We're not promoting any action of that magnitude at this point, but we are listening to our members. We are member-driven organizations and a union.
Are y'all having any conversations with the governor's office or even the House side or even some senators? I think Bill Hamilton has publicly stated on his Facebook that he would vote against it. This thing could, you know, if you get two more, this thing could die on 17-17 on the Senate side. Are you having conversations with those parties right now?
We are, and we have reached out to the governor's office. We would like to have a meeting with the governor, all of us with the governor.
We understand the political process here. We understand that it goes through the House and the Senate and everything like that. We continually work with educators on both sides. I mean, with legislators on both sides to talk about how, while there may be some good things in the bill, each of those needs to be addressed individually. You don't lump everything into one omnibus bill, as was said earlier on the bill. Christmas tree in a bill is the wrong thing to do. If it's the wrong thing to do on one bill, then it's the wrong thing to do on this education bill.
Well, I'd like to address that question as well. Not only have we had conversations with these other legislatures, and we've tried to reach out to others, some that don't want to talk to us, but you got to understand, these legislatures is also receiving thousands and thousands of emails and countless phone calls from people concerning this. You don't hear them talking about that. They don't want to talk about that, but they're receiving thousands of emails concerning the opposition to this. Thank you.
The sense I'm getting from the House and from, okay, sure.
Teachers are very focused on doing their job in the classroom. I think it's very premature to talk about any future actions. But I also know from contacts from my fellow superintendents, I also received many texts through the weekend from superintendents concerned about this bill, concerned that the further discussion that is necessary to make sure that all voices are heard, that the experts that are dealing with this, with education in the state, have an opportunity to fully vet and contribute to this process.
The sense I'm getting from talking to people in the House, particularly people on the Education Committee, especially Republicans, is this bill doesn't stand a chance in the House. Are you guys getting the same kind of response?
Well, as we told you, we're working both sides of the aisle and both chambers to ensure that. We have got a lot of support from both parties in the House to look at the terrible things of the bill and to have each thing stand up on its own. But again, we don't know what's going to happen, what games may be played from this point on.
What's the timeline looking in the Senate, for it to come to a vote?
Well, if Friday was any indication, we're looking for things to happen fairly rapidly. However, we know that it was voted out of Senate Education Committee on Friday and supposed to be sent to Senate Finance. I think the fiscal notes that would be attached to this bill as it is are enormous. And hopefully, it would take a little longer to go through the finance review than it did on Friday to pass out of, as quickly as it did out of the Education Committee. So we really don't know, but we know that the financial note is enormous. So I hope that they would look at that very, very carefully.
Well, I hope they would, but conceivably, it would be reported to the floor today and have a first reading. If they really wanted to fast track it, it could go by the end of the week. We're hoping that they take their due diligence. If you recall last year on the governor's in the House when they passed the 5% pay raise, their remark was, we want to really look at this financially. We want to make sure that the dollars are there and that we're doing our due diligence. If they're doing their due diligence, then they need to look at this bill closely too.
And you believe this is...
Can I get one in? Are all 55 superintendents opposed to this bill? Because it seems like the Eastern Panhandle superintendents are going to benefit from the local share freeze. Gilmer and those who are far below 1,400 kids are going to benefit from the 1,400 floor for per pupil funding. Are all 55 superintendents opposed to this bill?
From the discussions we had recently at a recent conference, we appear to be united on our opposition to the bill. And I'll just go on to say that, again, it's a matter of getting input from all parties, letting portions of the bill stand alone for vigorous debate and discussion. I can tell you that the Superintendent's Association certainly supports the governor's efforts to raise teacher and employee pay, and we recommend that be taken up in a separate bill, and I believe one will be developed or forthcoming from the governor's office for consideration.
Last year's event didn't begin as a statewide action. It began with a few counties that sent representatives to the Capitol. Is there anything like that under consideration that a few counties may wind up here?
Well, I'm hearing all kinds of rumors. But as I said before, our union, and I'm sure the other organizations here, listen to our members. So we are listening to them, we are meeting with them. There are informational meetings set up all around the state, here in Kanawha County tonight, Cabell County, all across the state. We're listening to our members. So first we need to meet, we need to listen to them, and then we'll go forward.
But needless to say, the members of all three organizations, and I'm sure the principals and the superintendents, all these folks are engaged. They understand what's going on. They're looking at this legislation. They're talking about this legislation throughout the state. They are vitally concerned about what's going on in this legislation and the way it's being passed through. So are our people engaged in all these organizations? The answer is absolutely they're engaged. And they're working diligently to try to stop this omnibus education bill from passing. It is not good for public education. It's not the right thing to do.
And I would like to say that no one wants negative reactions. We all want to work together. That's the key. But when people don't have a voice, people react to being, silent. And that is what we've all been discussing. We want the ability to discuss each facet of this bill with our legislators. We're not out there promoting any action. What happens is an organic reaction to not having a voice. And that is the key. We go to state boards of education meetings, we're allowed to speak. They ask us for our input. They speak with these folks back here. We're all at the same meetings and we're all working together. But we haven't been allowed to work together on this bill. And it makes us wonder why we're not given input, what's being hidden from us. But more than that, is that folks today are spending valuable time, worrying and being concerned about their jobs when they should be doing what they do every day, and that's providing a world-class education to the children of West Virginia. So if we had the ability to communicate and we understand what's being said to us, and we can communicate in a respectful way, then I don't think that you'll see these things. These, problems happen when you're not allowed to have input. And up to now, we haven't been allowed to have any input. And that's the problem.
I just want to be clear on this. Aside from the pay raise, aside from fixing PEIA, is there anything else in this bill you folks support?
The attendance, to bring back an incentive for teachers and service personnel to accrue their days and use their accrued sick days upon retirement. Yes, we agree with that.
Three things.
And what we think needs to happen is, as everyone has said, bring us to the table and let's talk about true reform. Let's talk about things that will make a difference for the students of West Virginia. Things that they're proposing are not going to make a difference for our kids. Increasing class size is not going to help our kids, it's going to hurt our kids. So let's go to the table and figure out some things that all of us collectively can say, let's move education forward. If you don't have a voice at the table, then you're fighting a losing battle with that.
I was wondering, from the superintendents and the principals, there's a component of this bill that says if there's a work stoppage that leads to schools being canceled, then people aren't paid. And I wonder, from the point of view of folks who are in charge of making the school system run every day, what your view is on that component of the bill.
Unfortunately, Mr. Hess had to step out for another interview, but if one of the other superintendents want to come up and help answer that.
I just want to say that from a superintendent standpoint, I hope that it's premature to start having that discussion. I think one of the concerns that we have as superintendents is that all of this division would lead to a situation where maybe our teachers would walk out and there's questions about whether there would be public support for that and put us all in positions where we don't want to be. So as far as these kinds of things in the bill, we just don't support any of that. And I hope that we don't start getting into those kinds of discussions until we are allowed to sit down with our representatives and talk to them. That's all we're asking. Give us an opportunity to sit down and talk to you. We live in West Virginia. I hate the fact that I have to move to New Mexico to talk to my legislature.
Could you identify yourself, sir?
What's
For the
that?
press. Identify yourself for the
I'm
press.
sorry. Tim Woodward, Superintendent, Hancock County Schools.
I also think it's worth pointing out that the being able to bank the sick days, we support that. That's a good part of legislation. I think personally the number's a little high, 10 days per month, but I think that's good. And we also, as far as WVS SBA is concerned, we support the 1,400 count, the 1,400 section.
I want to go back to Brad's questions about how principals feel. I can say unequivocally that there is not a principal in the state of West Virginia, and Kenny can reflect this too, that wants to be out of the building and not be servicing and helping our children in our schools. This is not something that we're saying, boy, we hope this occurs, because no one wants this to happen. We learned our lesson a long time ago. When I was a first-year teacher, we went on strike. No one liked that, and it took a long time for that to occur again, and it occurred because people wouldn't listen to us. And we only hope that people will listen and give us a chance to communicate, because no one wants to be out of the building. Teachers love their kids and they love their jobs, and principals and administrators love their buildings, or they wouldn't be there 12 hours a day. So we all want to be in school and we want to be supportive of our children. That's what we're for. We just want the opportunity to make sure that things like this don't occur. And the more communication we have, the less chance there is that something like this will occur. But that is on the legislature, because we are here to speak and to listen and to communicate.
And the teachers want to be in a classroom too.
Yes.
Teachers want to be with their kids. That's why you go into teaching, is to make a difference for your kids. If you recall, even last year, the things that the educators, the teachers and service professionals did to make sure that their kids were taken care of. That's what we do each and every day. We want to be in the classroom too, but we also want to have a voice at the table, and that's important.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And the individuals will be available if you want to snag an individual and get a close-up, some comments.
Thank you.
Specifically about the paycheck check. So, tell us your name and identify yourself with your title. What's the if we wanted to just briefly, and this is obviously been a technique that's been discussed and used in